Good morning, Coach. Francisco Villalobos from 2DN Network, and obviously the past 2 years have been difficult for the Rockets. I just want to know what's your level of optimism towards this season, and what, other than, yes, we're doing a good grade, blah, 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 what precise things will make it into a better season compared to the other ones?
I'm super excited about this season. I'm excited for a bunch of reasons. I'm excited that we have a group that I've been with for a little while, and they have more experience than they've had in the past. That's one of the things that changes from year to year. I'm excited about the work that these guys have put in this summer, as far as having basically the whole team here this summer working on their games, working on their bodies. I'm excited about our young guys that we've picked up and that are going to be a big part of our organization and a big part of our team. As far as what's going to be better this year, like, I've been studying a lot. I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been spending a lot of time with our players, evaluating our strengths and our weaknesses. And the main thing that we're going to be is super hard to play against on both ends of the floor. We're going to use our quickness and athleticism on the offensive end, but we're going to use it on the defensive end as well. So look for improvement on both ends. Yep.
For both of you, we spoke during the exit interviews kind of about not necessarily defining the season by wins and losses. So how do you define success this season? How do you measure that success, if not in wins and losses?
I mean, I think he literally just answered it. I think it's, if we are a team that is very hard to play on both ends of the court, everybody has a bad night. But if day in and day out we're a team that is tough to guard, and on the other end makes the game hard on other teams, that's the type of step forward I think we're looking for. And so there's going to be nights when the ball goes in and you play badly and you win, and there will be nights when the ball doesn't go in and you play great and you lose. That's the NBA. That's the nature of 82 games. But I think I think we know enough between the two of us and our staff and everything else that we'll be able to measure well. Like, are we hard to play against? And I think for a team like us, for a young and up and coming team, I think that's the measure of success.
I guess I would piggyback and say there has to be a level of improvement, right? Like, the team that we see next Sunday against San Antonio and the way that we play is going to be different than the team that we see post All-Star break. So having some level of patience, obviously, but there has to be steady and marked improvement as the season goes along.
Brian.
Coach, your first 2 years coming in here, there was some, adversity and turmoil with players who are no longer here. You also had to go through your players with the COVID protocol and things like that. Now you have a team that has your players on it, your draft picks. Do you feel like you're in your first rookie year? And can you also talk about the work ethic of your young players?
Yeah, I definitely don't feel like I'm in my first year, but I am excited about this group in the future. Like you said, the first year there was a lot going on, and then the second summer was short, and there was a lot going on as well. But this year has been more normal. We had a long summer, which is normal for a team like us, and we've had a bunch of guys in all summer, like I said earlier, and I'm excited about our young guys because they're all very good workers, super, super competitive, and to some extent they have a chip on their shoulder, which I love. So yeah, it's for sure different than year one and year two, and I get where you're going with that. But I might have a few more gray hairs because of those first couple of years. But I'm very excited to have a full summer, a summer league that doesn't lead directly into the regular season. Having time to get to know these guys, for them to get to know me, for them to get to know each other, and use that summertime as a win where we bonded together and are preparing for the next step, which is training camp and preseason.
Stephen, you mentioned success would be measured by being very hard to play against
Yeah.
and improving and developing. When you're making coaching decisions, particularly with a team with 8 first or second year players, do you evaluate that? What will help develop today? Or is it just what will show success on the scoreboard?
No, it's
And how do you balance those?
Yeah, it's a fine line. It's a fine line to walk for sure. But I believe that if you play in a way that is difficult to play against, then you're building winning habits, right? And that's what we ultimately want to do, is build winning habits. There are going to be mistakes made, and we know that. But when it comes to the effort parts, as far as sprinting back in transition, sprinting in transition on the offensive end, going to the boards, being a better defensive rebounding team, making multiple efforts on the defensive end, that's not a talent thing. That is a culture thing that we're building, and we have the right guys to do it. So I'm excited about that, but I also know that mistakes happen, and we have to build and grow from those mistakes, but we don't want to dwell on those mistakes on a day-to-day basis. We need to learn from them and move on.
So more specifically then, if you have the coaching decisions that every coach has,
Yeah.
this guy's ready to help win tonight's game, but development is something that you value. How do you do that balance?
Go ahead.
Our whole team is young.
We have 14 guys
Yeah.
who are third year and under. So like,
I think sometimes we arbitrarily decide that like this guy needs to be developed and this guy doesn't. Our whole team, I mean, other than Eric, our entire team should be improving on a daily basis. And so, so like, I don't think, I don't agree with your premise.
David, Sterling, Boban, you have some veterans.
Okay. We do have some veterans, but I think that I'm thinking more of the guys who kind of played the majority of the minutes last year. None of those guys played a lot of minutes for us last year, and so maybe something changes, but we have a lot of young players, and I think they're going to do well. Sorry, I shouldn't have jumped in, but I'm like, it's our whole team.
For the guys that were here last year in their first year, Jalen, 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, Josh, 𝗪𝗓𝗓, where do you typically see him too? Yeah, where do you see the biggest jump from year 1 to year 2? Other than the obvious everything, where do you see the jump from year 1 to year 2?
Individually?
Yeah, just in terms of their growth cycle, what are the areas that you see them getting better at, or that they need to get better at?
Yeah, so experience is the best teacher. So those guys going through what they went through last year was huge. The experience that Jalen had as far as starting the season off slow and improving to the point where he was really, really good towards the end of the season. He carried that into the summer, got stronger, kept working at his game, and yeah, we'll see a second-year version of Jalen Green, which is not the best that he'll be, but it'll be, better than he was at the beginning of last season, which is huge for us. 𝗪𝗧, what he did in Spain this year is important. He did a great job leading that team to a championship. And if you saw the games and saw what he did as far as his rebounding and his passing and his effort, that is an experience that he didn't necessarily have last year that will propel him into this year as far as his confidence in his play. 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, same thing, had a very good summer, played for Turkey, started off a little bit slow, but he was someone that they really depended on. And again, another confidence builder for him. It's going to be a different role for him this year. He's going to play more minutes. He's going to be playing against starting centers and all that. And there's going to be, that next step is a hard step that he's going to have to deal with. But, it kind of is what it is. And then Josh is another one, kind of in the same way that Jalen. First of all, Josh wasn't even in my thoughts as being in the rotation last year, and he just kind of bullied his way into the rotation and stayed in the rotation because of his hard work and his energy that he brings to the game. And he's another one who's been in the gym all summer, so we should see a more experienced group of 5 guys. I don't think I even spoke to Nick's, where he's been in the gym all summer and has had some really good moments as far as playing with his teammates in the summer league, and then showing some of the gifts that he has as far as his size and his passing and his physicality. I'm really looking forward to all 5 guys taking the next step, which again, for your second year, is just the beginning of where you can be and where you can go.
Kelly.
This time last year, you talked about bringing the guys along kind of slowly, like a simplified form of the offense. Now, is it almost easier going into this year with having guys that have been through it for a year already, now having to bring out guys like Jabari and 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧 and Tari? Yeah,
it's definitely easier. Talking to Jae'Sean's like, are we still doing the same stuff we did at the end of last year? Like, yes, we are. We're going to play to his strengths for sure, and Scoot's strengths as well, and everybody's strengths, 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧 and the guys who we had last year. So, yeah, we can go a little bit quicker this year. We can tinker with some of the things that we did last year, but I think the main thing going into this year as opposed to last year, and Rafael said it, is last year we didn't really know what we were getting with a lot of these guys. And coming into this year, we have a much better feel because they had the experience of last year to kind of build on and grow from.
Is everyone healthy?
I mean, Marquise Chris is not, but everybody else is.
And then, Stephen, what are some things that you feel like you can do with Jae'Sean now that maybe you couldn't do with him last year?
That's a good question. I think it's more of the same. It's getting him out in transition. It's getting him in situations where he's playing downhill. It's helping him make quicker decisions with better spacing. And that's one of the things that I've been talking a lot up to my staff about, is our spacing, because we're going to need room for these guys to be able to play. So him being able to play in space is going to be super important. But the buy-in on the defensive end is going to be a big one for him because he is so long and he's so quick. And, last year as a group, we weren't as good as I wanted us to be defensively. So his buy-in and his ability to make multiple efforts, which he's so gifted at, has to be at the forefront for not just him but the whole group.
Stephen, you've talked a lot about embracing the teaching aspect of this job when you have such a young team. After seeing how Jae'Sean was able to improve from the beginning of last season to the end, now that you have another high draft pick in Jabari, are you looking forward to teaching him and seeing how he can develop in his first year?
Yeah, I'm very confident in my ability to teach and help young guys get better. That's kind of what I've done my whole career. So I'm confident in that and the improvement that we saw from Jae'Sean. Obviously, it wasn't just me. John Lucas has a huge part in our development and the development of guys. But yeah, for Jabari, I think the main thing for Jabari that everybody needs to know is he is such a gifted defensive player. Like, now. So harping on what he does offensively and some of the shots that he makes or misses, or where he is on the floor and the opportunities that he gets and all that, we'll teach him that, and he'll grow into that and he'll learn that. But him as a defender is what I'm so excited about, and that's the thing that I'm gonna really kind of hone in on him with, because as I said in our meeting the last time we were all together last year at the end of the season, that our defense needs to be better, and he's a big piece to that.
Stephen, you mentioned how you had a strong showing at those summer workouts. In your experience, how rare is the kind of attendance you had, and do you think that can make a tangible difference early in the regular season? It's
super rare. I mean, I've never seen it like this before, where you've had basically the whole team in, and you have to do your best to schedule so guys are getting what they need, and we're following rules and whatnot. But yeah, it can transfer in a few ways. It can transfer as far as the connection that the guys have with each other. It can transfer as far as the connection that they have with me. And Rafael and I spend a lot of time with these guys, and we don't have that time. Usually have it in the off season really helps us build our culture as a group. And I always say the culture is the people, and we have a really good group of guys in the locker room, but it takes, you know, us to kind of foster it and water it and help it grow.
Rafael, a lot of names have come up, but Kevin Porter Jr., in terms of his growth, his maturation, his development, where do things stand with him? What has the organization seen in the last few months? And the second part of that is what are the possibilities of, you know, potentially extending him before you get into the season or around that time?
Right. I'll answer in inverse order. We don't talk about negotiations, so I'm not giving you anything there. In terms of the summer, he's had an amazing summer. I'm really just happy for him. I want to say I'm proud of him. That may not be quite the right term, but I'm definitely happy for him. I know, you know, we talked in our exit meetings about the type of summer he wanted to have, and he really did have it. He's been our most consistent guy in terms of getting into the gym every day. And as Steven said, everybody's been here every day. So it really says something that he's been here more than everybody else, or at least as much. And he's really just built really good habits. And he seems like he's in a really happy place. And I'm happy for him, and it's not over. And you know, it's not like a good 3 months is what he's looking to have. He's looking to have a super productive and enjoyable rest of his life, which is at some level what we're all trying to do. But he's had a really good summer, and and I'm excited to see how it takes him through camp and through the regular season.
Steven, I have a fill in the blank for you. You can use any word or adjective you want with a quick explanation why. This year, the Houston Rockets will be what? Any adjective or word.
Can I say hard to play against? Because that's my thing. We are going to be it's not going to be an easy night coming in here playing against the Rockets. And it's funny because talking to coaches at the end of last season, and then at the head coaches meeting a couple weeks ago in Chicago, that was one of the things that they said about our young guys. It's like, man, we knew that we were going to have to bring it because your kids don't stop. And this year, we'll add some guys to that. We'll have Eric be a part of that, and Boban and our vets. But, yeah, we're going to be a super hard team to play against on both ends of the floor.
Competitive.
I like competitive. No problem.
So yes.